guys. Hope you're doing well today. It's Fred and Sheila with Hatfield, McCoy Museum Adventures and Fred and Sheila Investigates.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. This video may go into 2 or even 3 parts. We don't even know. We're going to take our time covering it.
Mhm.
Sheila and I have found out that the best way sometimes to prove our point is just go over something that somebody else has said, and by correcting them,
Mhm.
in America, you've heard us say this many a time, you're innocent till proven guilty. Buford Pusser is innocent. He's innocent forevermore, no matter what they say publicly, because he doesn't have his day in court. He doesn't have due process. They had plenty of time to give him that for 7 years before he died, between when Pauline died and he died, and they didn't do that. That's on them. Buford Pusser or his family or nobody related to him has to prove anything, prove his innocence. It's up to the state to prove his guilt. So what Sheila and I are going to do, this video here, or these videos are going to be on Oakley Dean Baldwin. Oakley Dean Baldwin is a impersonator of Mike Elam, in my view, in my opinion. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we go along, because it's not hard to prove. All we have to do is look at when people's books were published and so forth. So it's not hard to see that we have a copycat here. In fact, I'm going to show you at the end of the video, the last video we do. He says he has many books out, that he's wrote many books, as have Sheila and I, but we have no books for sale, but
Right.
we do it it was a hobby at one time. And he has a book out called Make One. Make One is where we're from. Make One area, Make One, West Virginia is where a lot of the used to be called Make Creek back during the Hatfield McCoy feud.
Mhm.
I grew up about 6 miles from Make One. Mom always bought all of our school clothes at Hobbs and Hope's and Make One, and that's where we done our school shopping. Our doctor was in Make One, Dr. Roy. Make One's where my older brother was born, and Dr. Roy actually delivered him. Now that don't mean nothing, nobody out there, but to people back home it does. They know
Right.
that we know what we're talking about because that's where we're from. Mr. Dean has a book called Make One. It says
Mhm.
things that nobody's seen before and all. Mr. Dean's not from that area. I doubt that he even went there to do his research. I don't know that for a fact, but because Make One, the Battle of Make One, especially where the coal miners was on strike and they come in there to bust the union and so forth like that. And it was a bad battle.
Mhm.
There's all kinds of YouTube videos on Make One,
Mhm.
some good videos. Some people goes out and that's what happened in the Hatfield McCoy a lot. Sheila and I know we know about this because
Yeah.
over the years in the Hatfield McCoy feud, people have taken books that other people has written
Mhm.
and they just copied them. They put them in their words, but they copied. If they said Devil Anse Hatfield was 6 foot tall, they said that. If they said the Hatfields was from West Virginia and the McCoys were from Kentucky, they wrote that in their book. If they said that the feud started over a pig, they said it. If they said that Devil Anse Hatfield was a war hero instead of a deserter,
Mhm.
that's what they wrote. And then ever who wrote the most books on what side is how the story tends to go over the years. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we found that out. That's why Sheila and I come up, just like these videos we do here.
Mhm.
We come up, started correcting Hatfield McCoy feud history through documents, through court records, through birth certificates, death certificates, with proof.
Right.
Truth
With proof.
with proof. You
Yeah.
look pretty.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
All right, guys. So this video is going to be on Oakley Dean Baldwin. And what
Mhm.
we're going to do, he did about a 30-minute interview. And we're just going to take his interview, certain parts of it, and comment on it.
Okay.
We've cut the snippet out, the video, and Sheila will play it.
Yeah.
We'll comment. We'll go to something else. You use your own judgment.
Yeah.
You guys are smart. You're not going to let nobody manipulate you or tell you something that you don't see with your own eyes or hear with your own ears. So you look at what he says, look at what we show you or tell you with proof, hopefully, and then you decide who you think is telling the truth and who's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, who's trying to hornswoggle you, manipulate you. Let's play the first video.
Okay, here we go.
Let's get started.
Remember back in '67, the Bureau of Investigation back then was very political under the governor, and I believe the governor actually squashed the investigation because there was so much evidence that the TBI agents, even with the techniques that they had back then, I felt like they had enough to even charge him back then. But
guys, he says that he believes the governor squashed the investigation. You're probably going to see this clip again because this is at the main beginning of where he's advertising this video. I think somewhere over in here it comes up once again, but
Okay.
he says the governor squashed the investigation because the evidence was there. Well, if the evidence was there then and they couldn't do anything, how can they do it now after they've lost all the evidence? But let's go to the governor squashed.
Okay.
If the governor was going to squash the investigation, Sheila,
Mm-hmm.
why did Buford have to shoot his face off?
Good question. If he had all that pull, why would he do that?
If the governor if he had that kind of pull,
Mm-hmm.
why would the man go so far as to shoot his chin off, his jaw?
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of them says he's shot in the cheek. Your cheek's up here, guys. This is your cheek. Remember when you was a kid and somebody pinch you on the cheek, or you'd
Mm-hmm.
take a little fat baby and pinch them on the cheek? Up here's a cheek. Everybody knows where a cheek is. It shows pictures of Buford's jaw and chin and jaw gone. So
Yeah.
this is not a flesh wound.
Mm-mm.
But if the governor, if he had that kind of clout with the governor, why did he shoot himself in the face? If the evidence was so overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't they charge him 58 years ago?
Why now?
It's going to be all we're going to do here, show a little snippet. We're going to comment.
Okay.
But you're going to see here after a while, Sheila will show you proof as to why certain things are, and we'll show you newspaper articles from back in 1967. Some people says fake news, fake this and that. I guess it's according to who you're talking to at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
do you believe somebody that's making something up in 2025? Or do you believe something that was written and published in the newspaper in 1967? Because if it was published in the newspaper in 1967, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, up to August the 21st,
Mm-hmm.
Buford was there to dispute it. He could have disputed it. So if you see something that's written in the newspaper during those years, it's probably true unless you can find a retraction by Buford where he's called the newspaper out.
And I'm sure he would have,
Don't you think?
if he were around then and stuff. I'm sure he corrected it if it's not what really happened.
Knowing his demeanor,
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that Buford Pusser would have corrected him.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see a newspaper article where PD Plunk says they were told to go down New Hope, when you see a newspaper article where PD Plunk says I picked his jawbone up out in the field,
Mm-hmm.
when you see a video of Miss Mammy saying his jaw was hanging down to his chest, when you see these things from people that were there, you have a tendency to believe eyewitnesses and
Mm-hmm.
more than you would somebody that's writing a book 58 years later in 2025 that's actually copying their book from Mr. Elam. And we'll get to that after a while. Let's go have a second video.
Here's the next one.
They saw Buford take on big time crime, And they saw him give some people what they had coming to them. He fought fire with fire, and he'd give you what you had coming to you.
You know, guys, that's just one. That's just one person from that community, Adamsville. Sheila and I wasn't down there but 3 days, but in those 3 days, well, back in a 3-day trip,
Mm-hmm.
and in those 3 days, we met person after person after person who was like that right there in Adamsville. And that was right after they had come up with this press conference where they called Buford a murderer, entitled him and labeled him as a murderer of his wife. Not just a murderer of his wife. That's harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But the people down there, even the ones that had believed in him all his life, that was having second, some of them would say, well, I don't think as much of them now as I used to.
Yeah.
And then Sheila and I would tell them, don't believe everything you hear. Just because somebody says it, you don't make it true. And then when we start seeing the report as it come out, and they're referring to hearsay from dead people, they're referring to hearsay from people that's old age, dementia, Alzheimer's. And even they said that what they told the TBI was not what they put into the report, that the wording was changed in their language.
Sure did.
We did videos on all this. We don't say nothing that we can't back up. And we tape everything. That was just one person. That's the only one you're going to see like that. The rest of these videos is going to be Oakley Baldwin. And let's talk about what he's got to say.
Ready?
When you are.
My name is Oakley Dean Baldwin. I'm a retired Wake County Sheriff's Deputy here in Raleigh, North Carolina. A retired United States Coast Guard reservist. I was a CWO-4 Chief Warrant Officer, Intel Officer for Sector North Carolina, probably for the last 4 or 5 years of my career, with a total of 35 years in law enforcement.
35 years in law enforcement. He was a Coast Guard reservist, is the way I understood it.
What's that?
Well, he's a National Guard.
Okay.
It's a reserve. You're in the reserves. If I'm correct.
Okay.
Now you can go in. I spent 3 years in the Marine Corps and then 3 years in the reserves.
Okay.
6-year term.
Okay.
So he could have served so many years in the regular Coast Guard and then got out and stayed in the reserves. Who knows?
Right.
What I want to get to is this 35-year police career, law enforcement career, 35 years in law enforcement. She'll insert it about right here, but.
Wake County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Fred McCoy. I'm calling from Kentucky. I was wanting to see if I could speak to somebody about a former deputy sheriff from your department.
I can transfer you to HR, sir.
I appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome. Hold on.
Sorry, Yolanda Banks is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Fred McCoy. I'm calling from Kentucky. I'm calling in reference to Oakley Dean Baldwin, Baldwin, Baldwin. And I think he says that he retired from that department in 2013. I'm just calling to confirm that he was a deputy sheriff there and how long he was employed and such as that. If you could give me a call back, I'd appreciate it. 606-669-0364. Thank you. Guys, that was to the Wake County Sheriff's Department in Raleigh, North Carolina. We'll see if they call me back and tell me anything. Basically just wanting to confirm. It's so easy for people out here to say they was in law enforcement for 35 years. when you're in law enforcement for that many years, you've seen a lot and done a lot. A lot of people likes to brag on how many years they actually did law enforcement, and it's something to be proud of, because if you can stay in law enforcement that long and do a decent job, you've definitely done something. But in that period of time, there should be he should have some good cases that he's worked in 35 years. Bank robberies and homicides and different things, kidnappings, that just happen to come about. They may not come about in Raleigh, North Carolina, like they do in Los Angeles, California, or New York, just like where I was at, but occasionally you'll have them. And that's what I want to see, because Mr. Baldwin says that if that would have been him there that day on that ambush with Pauline Pusser, that he wouldn't have been like Buford Pusser. He would have pulled his gun and would have been slinging lead. That's one question I want to ask him. How many times did he sling lead in those whatever amount of years it turns out to be? I have a feeling it's not going to be 35 years. I just don't take everybody at what they say. But in the 4 or 5 years or whatever it might have been, how many times did he sling lead with anybody? How many times was he driving down the road and somebody pulled up beside him and started shooting at him? See, that's what you got to compare. Otherwise, you're comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing what I would have done. That's called Monday morning quarterbacking. You watch a game on Sunday and then you say, well, if I'd been me, I wouldn't have punted. I would have went ahead and went for the touchdown. I wouldn't have done. It's Monday morning quarterbacking. We don't know what we would do until somebody's beside of us shooting at us and blowing our wife's head off and such as that. We don't know what we would do. So for people to make that remark, especially if you're in law enforcement for any period of time, if you've done anything in law enforcement, because you might think that you would hope that you would do this. He might hope that he would pull his gun and start slinging lead. He might have done the same thing Buford done. He might have just laid over in the seat. Maybe Pauline got shot in the head because Buford done laid over and he's so big she couldn't get down. They done shot her. Who knows? He definitely got PTSD after you go through. He's traumatized. I'm not going to make a long video. We'll probably put this one in with one of the things on our video. I don't know if they'll call me back or not. Most police departments, whether he worked there or not, they don't discuss employment of officers and such. And you know, that's one thing on Fred McCoy 4-0 I'm always talking about. It's funny that we can take police officers and now even, you know, prosecutors. Nobody has to tell us their background. You can't bring that officer's personnel file into court with you. You're accused of committing a crime and all the eyes are looking at you. It's innocent until proven guilty, but really once you're charged, you're guilty in America until proven innocent. That's not the way it's supposed to work, but that's the way it is, because you've got the police officer that's charged you, you've got the prosecutor coming at you. But ask to see that prosecutor's file. Ask to see if he's ever been charged with perjury. Ask if he's ever been admonished by the judge for not telling the truth or not been fully factual in a case. Ask to see the police officer's file and see what they say. No, we can't do that. But there might be something in there that says this officer's credibility is zilt. If his credibility's zilt, how's he allowed to tell what you did or said or had possession of? I'm pro-police. You wouldn't think it by listening to me. I'm pro-police. I'm pro-prosecutors. I'm pro-criminal justice system. But we got to do it fairly. We got to do it as fairly in court as we do when these guys are out here handcuffed and 3 or 4 of them's beating up on them. You got to do it fairly. If we're going to win a case, let's win it fairly. Let's win it with the truth. Let's win it with evidence and proof. Not because they don't know that this officer is probably a worse criminal than the person that he's probably trying to convict. Why is that? A police officer's record should be open to anybody and everybody. Personnel file, any kind of disciplinary action, any kind of anything. Why'd Mr. Baldwin leave? Why did he leave the sheriff's department? Says he worked for the Coast Guard and the sheriff's department. Did he just decide to retire? I'd planned on working for years and years. I'd done took classes in school security. I done took classes in court security. I certified in all of it because I knew whenever I got too old to do the on the road job stuff, I could always go to school security or court security and keep on working. Only thing is I didn't plan on getting hurt. I made my last arrest in 2018 and took him to jail. I went to the emergency room and had back surgery and 3 pins in my back, and that was it. I had 40 years. That's plenty of a career, but I could have gone for another 10 or 20, or at least I felt like. You always got to ask yourself, because police work is not that hard physically, other than fighting every now and then. Why would anybody leave it? It's not a physical labor job. It's not a factory job. It's not the coal mines. County car, city gas, city insurance. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one. I was waiting to see if they was going to call back. They ain't called back yet, so since they haven't, we'll assume they're not going to, but if they do, we'll do a follow-up. Guys, I've made several calls to Wake County Sheriff's Department in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mhm.
You can Google. Phone number comes up. They won't answer no questions, or they'll send you to HR, and HR doesn't return your calls. I'll post one of them here.
Yeah.
I told them what I was calling about on the machine, that I was calling about Oakley Dean Baldwin, supposedly one of their police officers, and had some questions. I was wanting to see when he was an officer, what kind of, was he a school crossing guard? Was he a road deputy? Was he a court deputy? Was he a tax collector? There's all kinds of jobs within a sheriff's department. Was he an investigator? Was he an actual detective? Did he actually work and investigate cases? Because it tells a person a lot. I don't do this to be harsh to people. It's just that a lot of people likes to brag about these law enforcement careers because they think it gives, and it does, it gives them credibility. It does. When you were in law enforcement for 40 years and a detective and police chief and different things, that positions that you hold,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be able to back that up through proof, because it gives some integrity to what you're saying or to your investigative skills. You're going to hear Oakley Baldwin say after a while that he wouldn't have been like Buford Pusser. Buford didn't even pull his gun when his wife was killed, but he would have been slinging lead.
But everybody reacts to a situation differently.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that, but you really don't know until you're in that man's shoes or in that moment of how you would react.
And that's my point. Way to go, punk. You're exactly right. That's my point. That was what I was leading up to.
Oh, sorry.
No, and hopefully other people was thinking just like you. That's what I like about yin and yang here. But he said he would have been slinging lead or throwing lead, whatever the language that he used. I'd like to know how many times during his career. Let's wait till we get to that video.
Okay.
Let's wait till we get to that video rather than me repeating ourselves. I think that pretty much, that was video number 2. The old man earlier said Buford would give you what you had coming.
Mhm.
Buford was a lawman. Buford was strict. He done it by the book. We're going to get to some of these things, these allegations, these hearsays, these rumors as we go, so I won't repeat them.
Well, he said Buford had to fight fire with fire, so
35 years, we never got a call back to confirm or to say that he wasn't. If he was an an employee, especially for 35 years, you would think that they would call back and say, oh, yeah, he spent 35 years here. Half the department still knows him, because I think he said that he retired in 2013.
Okay.
So that would still be people there from 2013 are retired. So let's go to the next one, video 4,
Ready?
to the books.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to tell you about my 2 books, actually. First one I released back in 2021.
That's it. Stop it right there.
I did.
Released his first book back in 2021, guys.
Okay.
And after a while, you're going to hear him say in another video that it was him that got everything started. It was him that got everything started on Buford and had the TBI calling him and so forth. And as bad as I hate to,
Fair is fair.
as bad as I hate to, because sometimes it irks me to listen to the videos and the mistruths, misleading. But I've got to stand up for Mike Elam here. We do.
Exactly.
Elam Fred calls it like it
we
is.
see it. Yeah.
We call it like we see it, don't we, babe?
Yeah. We try to be fair.
We call it like we see it. As bad as I hate to take up for Mike Elam wrote the first book, putting Buford Pusser down.
Yeah.
Mike Elam, 2020. He wrote, his book came out a year before Oakley. And remember earlier I said that Oakley, from looking through some of his books, I see things where it would be easy to copy somebody else's book in your language and change a few things and say, hey, I wrote this book. I wrote that. All you done was copy. This is a copycat. Remember in grade school, they called me that.
Oh, shame.
I'd be taking a spelling test. Why I can't spell today?
Kids, do not do what he did.
I'm here looking at the kid next to me paper for my spelling words rather than spend a little bit of time studying. I was a copycat. Mr. Baldwin here, in my opinion, is a copycat. Takes one to know one. I did it in grade school on spelling test, and he's doing it as an old man. He copied Mike Elam's book. His book come out in 2021. Mike Elam's come out in 2020.
Yeah.
Either of them can say he says later on that he'd been working on his book for so many years. That's easy to say. We found that in the Hatfield McCoy feud history. You can say that all you want. Proof's in the pudding. The proof is when you published your book. You can say you was working on it since you've been in the 3rd grade. At least Elam stood on his own. At least Mike Elam was original. I cannot believe I'm taking up for Mike Elam.
That's right.
But we got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was his ideal, Mike Elam's ideal, to defame Buford Pusser, to start all these rumors on Buford Pusser. These are rumors that Mike Elam puts out there. He might have Buford Pusser's name correct, his daughter's name correct. He might have Pauline's name correct when he says that she was a stripper. He had heard that she was a stripper, a go-go dancer.
Wow.
But justice for Pauline. I'm getting off topic here, but
just a smidge.
But it was Mike Elam that wrote the first book defaming Buford Pusser.
Yeah.
This man here read Mike Elam's book, went and seen some of the people Mike Elam said he had saw and different things, or just copied. I don't know if he went and seen them or not. I can't tell you. He says in here that he went and seen somebody. I can't vouch for that. They say all kinds of things in here that's not true. Let's go on to the next. Baby, you got anything here?
No. Here's
Speak
the next
up when
one.
you do.
Oh, I will. Here we go.
A lot of books have been written. All of the previous books, except for one, were written very much pro Buford Pusser, the way the movie was, and they were they were pretty much what I call pro Buford Pusser.
Oh my land.
Go ahead. See, Sheila hasn't seen Some of this I've watched and made notes of, but Sheila watches things as it's upcoming. She's always editing something else while I'm doing something. And
What does the movie have to do with the books and stuff?
well, that's the fame, baby. That's how you
Again,
get your
here's
fame.
someone else mentioning the movies and all the books.
That's where the fame comes from. If this was a regular John Doe, homeless person on the street with no reputation, how many books has him or Mike Elam written on a homeless person that killed his wife or his family or anything like that and got out of prison? Now he's homeless. Or Mr. Rouse or Mr. Davison. What kind of publicity would they get writing or holding a press conference on a nobody? You don't get nothing. You're not going to do a story on a nobody. This is where your fame, fortune, and name notoriety comes in at. Mr. Baldwin says all the books written previous to his, except one.
I heard that.
Except one. See, he has to say that because he knows there's people out here like Fred and Sheila, and especially Mike Elam. I'm sure Mike Elam call him out on it, or already has.
Right.
That book was Mike Elam's book, the book that was printed before his. Now, later on, you're going to hear him talk about how the TBI went with his book and how the TBI opened the investigation from a cold case because of him. It's not true. We got to give that to Mike Elam, too. It's not true that it was because of this guy, but you'll get to see that when we get to that video. Guys, this is what this video is going to consist of. We're going to let you hear him. We're going to give you our take. Some of our take is going to have video clips, going to have documents to show you to prove him wrong. And some of it, you just have to look at it. Google Mike Elam's book. When was it published? 2020. He just told you with his own mouth. His was published in 2021. So, ready.
So Pauline Mullins, his wife, was a distant cousin of mine. My grandmother was Mullins and they were raised in Dickinson County. She actually knew her father, Andrew Jackson Mullins, and that's a family name for me. My third great-grandfather and my uncle both were named Andrew Jackson Mullins from the same area.
Well, that must prove it. That must prove it. He says he's cousins with Pauline Pusser. He said that for quite a while. Oakley says Pauline was a distant cousin. My question is, was she? You know, guys, we have something nowadays called Ancestry.com, 23andMe, all these different. He says his grandmother was a Mullins. So that proves that him and Pauline must have been cousins because his grandmother was a Mullins. So Pauline was a Mullins. They must have been cousins. They must be cousins. Now, he doesn't show us a genealogy there.
Right.
Sheila and I believe in genealogy. We believe in DNAs.
Yeah.
You'll see our Hatfield McCoy videos. You'll see where there's West Virginia Hatfields all over the place claiming to be related to Devil Anse Hatfield or descendant of Devil Anse. And either it's wrong, it didn't come back right, or they won't take a DNA. If you know what you're saying is true, why not take a DNA? I took one. Comes back exactly like Mom and Dad told me it should. Andrew Jackson Mullins is a family name. They were named after Andrew Jackson's in his family. And she had Andrew Jackson in her family. Doesn't make them related. It doesn't make them cousins. There's other Freddie McCoys out there. Doesn't make them related to me. And he did say, though, that they were from the same area. So they got the Andrew Jackson name. They're from the same area. Grandparents was Mullins's, but no genealogy. Real easy to get a genealogy, your history anymore, and show up the line to where you connect to her family. It's not there. It doesn't mean it's not true.
Right.
But he's not proven that. See, we look for truth through proof. It's so easy. I hate to make a big deal out of this, But it's just so easy for a person to prove with genealogy who they are related to and who they're not related to.
About it, but I didn't know her. My grandmother would tell my Uncle Johnny, he was more the historian in the family. And every time I got around him, he was a storyteller, and he would say, you know, your cousin Pauline Mullins was married to Buford Pusser. Well, at the time, it didn't really mean anything to me until the
Really?
movies came out. In the early 70s, the Walking Tall movies came out.
Guys, you may have to play that little clip back to understand where I'm coming from on this. Says that his Uncle Johnny used to tell him, said, your cousin Pauline used to be married to Buford Pusser. He said it didn't really mean that much until the movies come out. Well, until the movies come out, nobody knew who Buford Pusser was. If you didn't live in McNairy County or Adamsville, Buford Pusser didn't become a famous name until 1973 when his movie came out.
Right.
He says, I didn't know her. He didn't know Pauline. And that says it all. Quit acting like you did, because previously in the TBI reports and going to the TBI and in his book and on Facebook, he says that he's Pauline Pusser's cousin. And we've asked, show us a picture where you went to her funeral. Show us a picture of family reunion where you're there. And now all of a sudden he's saying, I didn't know her. He will tell you, his uncle would tell him that he's kin to Pauline, Buford Pusser's wife. Buford Pusser. It don't make sense because he didn't know Pauline. He wouldn't have known Pauline or Buford Pusser at that time. Why would he say your cousin Pauline married to Buford Pusser? And at that time, Buford was a nobody until 1973. By then, Pauline was dead. She died in 1967.
Yeah.
And it's, to some of you, that don't mean a hill of beans. But for me and Sheila, it goes toward credibility. When somebody tells you something, now we're only on video part number 8, little snippets, 8 videos. And in 8 videos, there's been at least one discrepancy per video. Some of these clippings is 5 and 6 discrepancies, non-truths, mistruths. If you get one mistruth out of somebody when you're talking to them or doing business with them or dealing with them, get away from that person, even one. If a person will lie to you about one thing, they'll lie to you about something else. Here we're on video 8. We've got 8 videos with discrepancies. Go ahead, babe.
I was reaching out to her siblings. I talked to 3 of her brothers and 2 of her sisters. And they really didn't know a lot of information about Pauline's life after she left Virginia. She went to Chicago, actually met Buford Pusser when he was a wrestler.
He met Pauline's siblings. Says they didn't know much information when he talked to the siblings. Now, he names them later on, but they're Clayton, Walton, Griffin, Aline, and Catherine. Now, he says through here somewhere that doesn't make it true. Like I said, he didn't come out with his book till after Mike Elam did his. He wrote one book within 2 weeks. The second book he wrote, they come out, the one he's holding there, they come out with the press conference on the 29th, and within 2 weeks later, he had his book up for sale. He'd already wrote a book in 2 weeks. So, but he says in one thing that he started his research back in 2016. I don't believe that. Doesn't matter what I believe. I mean, he could show us that with proof, some research or something that he done back then, which it's irrelevant. But he says he started his research in 2016. He just now said he talked to all the siblings, and he says that again later on. Well, Walton died in 2015. Walton died a year before he says he ever even started researching Buford Pusser or Pauline or anything. Says they didn't know much
Yeah, I caught that.
information. But yet, Elam and earlier on, he talks that Griffin knew his family well and says in this 1022, we'll post that too again.
Okay.
During that press conference, Mr. Davison, he says at 1022 this morning, I received an email from Oakley Dean, Baldwin. And it says, Mark, the Mullins family,
On behalf
Griffin, on behalf, thank you, babe,
of the Mullins family, and he named a couple of them.
and all the cousins. Well, we just got a.
And at 10:22 this morning, I got an email from Oakley Dean Baldwin, which said, Mark, on behalf of the Mullins family members, Griffin, Robert, and Trula Hall, many cousins, and other family members, we thank you for giving Pauline a voice from her grave. I'll now turn over.
Message last night from one of the cousins that's even closer kin than what he is. I don't believe he is no kin, but what Oakley is. This is a real cousin that shows it on the DNA. Nobody contacted her. She didn't give nobody permission to use her name or use her as a cousin. So who's the other cousins that he says, and a whole bunch of cousins that thank you for giving Pauline justice, because we haven't run across none. So if you're a cousin out there and you concede and you agree with Griffin and Oakley, then please put it in the comments. We don't care either way, guys. We're not here to stand up for Buford Pusser. We're here to take up for a dead man that was charged, accused, and convicted of murder after he was dead. No way to defend himself. He just happened to be Buford Pusser. He happened to be famous. But why would anybody want to accuse anybody else or hold a press conference on a nobody? A nobody's not going to get you no attention. So
That
that's not.
explains it why they came out, I guess,
Oh,
now.
of course.
Or
Sure. Notoriety,
Yeah.
name,
that's
recognition.
why they didn't do it, I guess, before he became famous.
Well, because yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
he
saying?
wasn't famous until 73, and he got killed
Right.
the next year,
Right,
74.
right.
Says the
Sad.
family didn't know much about Pauline. Once she moved away, Griffin says,
They were close.
I love my sister. She was the rock of the family. She's who we all went to. And had I known what was going on, well, he did, because she was married to Roman Pete Vance. That's the one that was mistreating her. Where was Mr. Griffin at then? Because we got an email from somebody else. They sent us a clipping where they worked with Clayton Mullins for 30 years and said Clayton never had nothing but good things to say about Buford Pusser. Never once did he ever say anything negative or that he thought he was involved in his sister's murder. Never.
Okay.
Griffin's the only one of them living.
Right.
He's the only one alive. We also made a call to him. We did a video on it, but she may put that right here where I tried to contact Griffin to get his take on, did anybody else sign besides him? Did he know that Pauline's two children, two of them, was buried on her chest, was buried. They dug down and poured the ashes down on her in her grave.
Yeah.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey, Mr. Mullins, this is Fred and Sheila McCoy. We have a YouTube channel that we do. We're both retired, and we do a YouTube channel. We've been working on the Buford Pusser story, and I was wanting to ask you some questions concerning signing for Pauline to be exhumed. I was wanting to know if if that was just you or if any of the other siblings had also signed. And I was wanting to know if you knew that Mike and Diane were also buried on top of Pauline's grave there. They had buried their ashes on top of their mother. And when they dug her up, I don't think nobody knew that, and that scattered the ashes. And I just had a couple of questions for you. Nothing real important, but would certainly enjoy talking to you if you give me a call back. The number's 606-669-0364. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. So when they dug her up, they dug her 2 children up. Talked to 3 brothers and 2 sisters, he says. Clayton said that he never heard a bad thing from Pauline about Buford Pusser. Walton died in 2015. Again, he says he started his research in 2016. Not adding up, guys, but go ahead, babe.
All righty, here's the next one.
They had, Pauline was actually married one time before, where she had 3 children with a man named Roman Vance. They called him Pete. In 1950, she had Diane. In 1954, she had Michael. And nobody knows about the 3rd child that she had because the movies and the TV shows never talk about Karen Felicia, and she was born in April of 1957, about the time that her and Roman Vance were separating. But she always told her family that Karen was Roman Vance's child. But there's an old saying, mommy's baby, daddy's maybe, at this point in time. It was.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe he just said that.
Wait, babe. That's the man that wants justice for Pauline.
It's horrible.
Justice for Pauline. Remember Mike Elam, and she'll post that right here too. Mike Elam says that he had heard that Pauline Pusser was a exotic dancer, a go-go dancer, a stripper in Chicago when Buford met her. But yet Mike Elam says he wants justice for Pauline.
Now, I've heard stories that she worked as an exotic dancer.
This man here stands here just now and says that she had 3 kids and the last one, Felicia, nobody knows about. Who doesn't know about her? Who doesn't know about her? She had special needs. They said that Roman had beat her so bad while she was pregnant that she almost lost the baby. She didn't lose her, but she was
Special.
Okay, special. The child was special, and family members adopted her because she was special needs. Because then Pauline had left Roman Vance. She had left him. She was tired of the beatings, and they knew she couldn't take care of 3 kids, especially one with special needs. This man here says they split up, and Pauline told the family that it was Pete Vance child. Why wouldn't it be? She's already had 2 other children by him. They're still married at the time. She was given the Vance name because they were married. There's never been until right here. That's a good example of spoken into history. I know. I see you over there.
That is sad.
Sheila gets
I
upset
can't
over.
believe he would say something like that. That's horrible.
That's spoken into history, guys. How many of you out there, if you just heard that, you wouldn't pay no more attention to that and just go right on down the road 2 weeks from now, you'd be talking to somebody and say, yeah. But now she had that one baby out of wedlock because mama's baby, daddy's maybe. For what reason would you say that? There's never been an allegation. She didn't even meet Buford Pusser till 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Buford. The child wasn't Buford Pusser's. The child wasn't nobody else's. The child was Roman Vance's. Never been nobody to say anything other than that. If there is and you have proof, please put it in the comments. But have proof. We don't want people's opinions, guys. We don't go on opinions.
Truth with proof. Isn't that right, Buford?
Absolutely, Pauline.
Go
Well,
ahead.
who's to say that Miss Pauline wasn't already pregnant with the child and they separated
Who's
at
to
the
say?
time? And
Who's
she
to
didn't know
say?
it until later.
Who's to say? And I'm going to point the finger here. I'm going to do this hypothetically, in my opinion. Who's to say that Oakley Dean Baldwin, does he have any children? Does Oakley Dean Baldwin have any children? I wonder. We know Mama's baby, but makes you wonder, don't it? It does me. And see, that's where people don't put themselves at sometimes. Oh, let's talk about Buford. Let's talk about Buford like a dog. He's open to anybody.
But she's supposed to be kin to him. Why would he
But
dog her
don't
like that?
hold on. Let me finish my thing here. I know what you're
Okay.
trying to do. She's trying to distract so I don't finish this. But who's to say that Mr. Oakley Dean Baldwin, without a DNA, has he ever had a DNA? First, does he have any children? Second of all, if he's got children, I wonder if he's ever had a DNA. Because you know what's funny in life? I've seen this happen so many times as a 40-year career police officer that people point these fingers, and when you point these fingers, you've got a thumb and 3 fingers pointing back at you. That's why in the Marine Corps, you point like this. I wonder if he's ever had a DNA, if he's got any children. I wonder how that comes back. Wouldn't it be ironic for this man to make a statement about an innocent woman that nobody's ever said that about? Wouldn't it be ironic if it come back that maybe there is a mama's baby and daddy's maybe out there? We don't know that. I'm using my opinion. And I figure it's as fair for me to do that to other people as it is for them to do it to a dead man. Now, what was you going to say earlier?
That's supposed to be his cousin. Why would he talk about her
That's
like
not his
that?
cousin, first of all. Second of all, that is a man wanting to sell books. It's his cousin as long as he can use her to act like he's related to her and wanting justice for Pauline. It's his cousin as long as he can sell books related to her and make money.
That's
Him and Mike Elam both. Mike Elam says she was a stripper. He says she's had a baby. He alleges, he infers that she's had a baby out of wedlock, but she told everybody it was Vance's.
Sad.
Sure, it's sad. But we got to have justice for Pauline. Just like Mark Davison, when
So
he
he's
puts on
gonna
that paper.
run her through the mud and get justice for her by running her name through the mud.
He's just like Mark Davison when he says, Mullins Pusser. Mullins Pusser was this. He don't even put Pauline's first name until the end. He says, justice for Pauline. He wanted that Mullins out there. This whole thing is a sham, guys. This whole thing from the word go, if you'll follow it along. Guys, this is going to be a long video. Go ahead.
About 2 years later, she met Buford Pusser at a country music festival at the Buccaneer Club in Chicago, and that's where Buford Pusser was working as a wrestler and I think a bouncer also.
Met Buford 2 years later. He was a bouncer at a nightclub and a wrestler in Chicago. They got married December the 5th, I believe, of 59.
59. I know it's 59.
And they had Dewana 1961. Dewana was born in Chicago in 1961. And then they returned home to Adamsville in 62. Play the next one, babe.
On the internet, even 10 years ago, it's still like a drip of information occasionally, like a faucet dripping. It really has improved over the last few years.
Not much information back in those days until the internet. Not much information. He didn't need information. Remember, he was the first cousin. He had family members. Yeah, he doesn't talk about talking to none of them. He doesn't talk about growing up with none of them. He just says in the main beginning that he was cousins because they got the same Mullins in their family. Wasn't much to go on back then when he started writing his book.
So where did he get all the information?
So you go with rumors. He went with Mike Elam's book. It was easy for him. Mike Elam's done a podcast. He's been at this so long. I wouldn't doubt if some of these But go to the next one, babe.
Okay.
Has improved over the last few years. But everything that we did find was not matching up with his statements from the crime scene.
Guys, you're going to hear us. You've already heard us. And you're going to hear us more times than this through this video. He says that things wasn't matching up with Buford's statement. There was things at the crime scene that wasn't matching up. Let us reiterate. Buford Pusser does not have a statement. Remember that the TBI files come up missing in 1976.
Right.
They come up missing, the whole file, the evidence. We've shown paperwork on that, and she'll show it right here. 1983, where they're still looking in 1983. Nothing's found. Nothing's found ever. Nothing's found. The evidence isn't found. The file isn't found. I have a hunch. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a hunch that there's probably a file out there now. It's not the file. It's not the original. So there is no Buford Pusser statement. What Warren Jones did later on, when the file come up missing, he went and typed up a synopsis of what he remember, or the way he wanted to remember, because Warren Jones hated Buford Pusser. And they especially hated Buford Pusser after 1973, when he made a movie and the TBI wasn't in it, or they wasn't even, nobody wanted to do nothing back then, and they got mad at Buford for doing anything. And when you're something, or you try to have a good reputation, a lot of people want to pull you down. That's when they talk about you the worst. And that's what they did to Buford. Oh, he's taking payoffs. Oh, he's making his own moonshine. Oh, yeah, really? He's doing this too. Where's the proof? His statements was not matching up. Buford Pusser does not have a statement out there. When they say the crime scene didn't match, the ambush didn't match to Buford's statement. Remember the reenactments, the professionals, the hired guns, the hired experts. They said it didn't match up to Buford's statement. Please show us Buford's statement. Show us where a statement where Buford Pusser has signed and it's been witnessed and dated, and who it was transcribed by, and all these different things that you would want if it was you. If you had an accident today and you gave a statement as to what happened at that accident, and a month from now, I come up here with a blank sheet of paper and I say, well, this is what you said. And you say, whoa, where's my signature? I never said that. Rightly so. If it ain't got a signature, it doesn't belong to nobody. And that's why these people with these typewriters, or these people with this computer font that can go back, Sheila found one that's the keys are missing. One key's higher than the other. Some of you don't remember that. Most of you's probably had computers all your lives since the 90s. There was a day when these typewriters, you would type on, one letter's up here, one's down there. Your ink ribbon's not rolling around. You have to twirl it a little bit, and letters are fading in and out. They got font like that. It looks like it's been typed on a typewriter. How do we know when they come up with this stuff and put it in the books, they didn't just type that up and put it in their book and say, well, yeah, well, Warren Jones gave me this, or his mother's mother, aunt from his second cousin gave me this, and said, guys, this was a travesty. But go ahead. What you gonna say, babe?
Remember when you worked a case where this boy had just put a signature down on a piece of paper, and then they went back in and filled in the contract and added a lot of stuff that they hadn't even talked about?
Yeah.
So, I mean, things happen.
Yeah, that's a car dealership in Nicholasville, down toward Lexington.
Right.
And they'd let that young fella
They said
sign
Oh.
right here, and you could take it. And the guy was wanting to take the car. He wanted that car so bad. What is he? 17, 18 years old, just a young kid.
He wasn't very old.
And we called the Attorney General's office on it, and the Attorney General's office investigated, and it had been happening all over the state at that one car lot. It was I don't know if they was illegal or not. I know they wasn't Americans. And the Attorney General's office ended up charging them with all kinds of crimes. But yeah, they was letting people sign.
Sign this right here showing that you're serious about buying. And then they went in and
I
added
don't know how we got on that.
every
do you?
that. Talking about fake documents and things that
Oh,
weren't real.
Exactly.
So I was
Exactly.
trying to
But
compare.
that had that guy's signature on it. He actually signed the paper.
Right.
He just wanted to take the
Right. That's what I'm
car or
saying.
truck, whatever it was. He wanted to take it and go, and he just signed his signature. And then after he left, the car dealership filled everything else in. They changed the rates. They had told him one thing, but they
Yeah.
left everything blank.
Not everything that they talked about was in that contract.
But it
and they
had
added
his signature.
Right.
If this
Right.
paper had a signature on it, you
Right.
couldn't. You could just say, well,
Whoops.
that could have happened, but that's Buford's fault. If he didn't know, always at the bottom of a contract, guys, always put a big R and a S. Respectfully signed, and put it right at the bottom line. You don't go down to the bottom, or if you sign at the main
Oh.
bottom and there's a half a page here left,
Mm-hmm.
you sign at the main bottom, but then go up here at the last sentence and come right underneath that and either sign your name or put your initials and put end. That's the end of that contract. Don't leave that two or
Gap.
three paragraph gap in there where a person can come back and put more above where your name's at. Good lesson. Good thinking, babe.
Okay.
You're up.
From the crime scene. It started appearing to us that the crime scene was staged. So
OMG.
Started
Yeah.
appearing to us that a crime scene was staged. Well, that's what Mike Elam said. That's what Mike Elam says, that it was staged. I wonder, it started appearing to him, though, that it was staged. Now we got two people saying, oh, we got a staged scene here. Now, he says the governor squashed it.
Yep.
Why would you have to have a crime scene? You could have put her with a bullet there and in her hand.
Yeah.
And said, look here what she did. You could have drove her over a bridge. I'm sure there's a lake in Adamsville. There's some kind of waterway. Dropped her off in a river somewhere, went over the hill. I swim out. We remember the cases where politicians has wrecked and people's died in their cars and they've swam to the side, and I lived through it, but she didn't make it. All kinds of things. But he says that the crime scene was staged. He didn't just stage one crime scene. I want to see how challenging I can make it. I'm going to have two crime scenes. I'm going to drive around for 6 miles. I'm going to
Shoot myself in the face.
cramping.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot myself in the face. Where have we heard it before? That's right. Mike Elam's book, guys.
Ready?
Copycat. This man should be AKA copycat. And if he's a friend of Mike Elam's, Mike, with friends like this, you don't need enemies. Ready?
appearing to us that the crime scene was staged. So none of his story was actually making any sense to us. So as time went on, and of course we're still writing other books, but it wasn't until 2019 that we really started getting some concrete, what I call concrete evidence, actual photographs of the crime scene that did not match his witness statements that he had been given to the TBI and in all the interviews that he did with CBS and other news agencies.
2019, guys. How about 2020, Mr. Baldwin? How about let's go ahead and go up the next year? How about 2020 is when you started getting your information? Remember, that's when Mike Elam's book come out, and looks like he's decided, oh, look here, here's a good book. I'll make my own book off of this. How about 2020?
Also, I'm going to interrupt a little bit here. He said he saw pictures of the crime scene and all this and that, but the files were lost. So how did he see that?
Great, babe. Great point.
If they had lost the files back in
1976,
76 and in 2019 he sees pictures of the crime scene?
where he got that from was that book, August the 12th.
Okay.
Who was the other guy? Somebody else wrote a book or two or three books about Buford. And,
Yeah.
they got them from books. Same place that
Okay.
the same place that the TBI has now got their crime scene photos. They got them from people's books. 1976, the file was lost. The files. There's no photographs. Those photographs was in the files. Guys, can you imagine? We talked about this before. Can you imagine you sent blood samples to the FBI in 67. You sent other papers to the TBI director in Memphis, I think it was. You've got papers filed away in Jackson, Tennessee. You've got papers in Sumner, Tennessee. Isn't it funny that it's not like just one file come up missing from Sumner or one file from Memphis.
Right.
You still have all these other pieces of evidence.
They're gone from every
Nothing.
establishment.
Nothing. The whole case has disappeared from all these different entities.
Wow.
Somebody's gathered up every bit of the evidence. They wrote up a false narrative before they died, and they threw it out there. Nothing to go on except their narrative. Follow this if you want. And then along comes Mike Elam. And then along comes Copycat. He follows Mike Elam's book. You got 2 books now. Somebody said the other day, I wouldn't doubt if Dennis Hathcock doesn't write a book. 3 books is not going to sell. 2 books. These books ain't selling. These books ain't selling, guys, like a bestseller, like somebody's book. Dennis Hathcock, somebody said he joined church and living straight. If he is, exactly. Thank the Lord. If he is, pray for him. Pray that he would come out and do the right thing and tell the truth. Tell people why he was following Buford Pusser around that night.
He could tell the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Did somebody tell him to follow Buford around that night? Yeah. Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly. What story was that? TBI had lost all the files in 76. Where does he get his information? All right, baby. You got anything else? Go ahead.
No, when he said that, I thought, how could you get documents when they were lost?
Good question.
Photos. Okay, here we go.
Evolving and changing, and he would add things, and none of it made any sense. So I wrote my book and released Murder of Mrs. Buford Pusser in 2021. And of course, it was very exciting because I thought I was, breaking the story about Buford Pusser should have been a person of interest in this crime.
He thought he was breaking the story, guys.
I caught that.
He thought he was going to break the story in 2021 when he wrote his book. But yet he talks earlier that everybody's always had pro books.
Except for one.
Exactly. That was Mike Elam's.
Interesting.
He copied his book from Mike Elam. I can't emphasize it enough. In my opinion, says he thought he was breaking the story, but yet he knows there was another book before his. Funny thing is, his book and Mike Elam's book is almost carbon copy. Almost. You always got to change 1 or 2 things. I'm sure they're not verbatim because you've got to change 1 or 2 things. I noticed that in the Hatfield McCoy books. People would change 1 or 2 things to act like they went out on their own, like they were just to throw people off. Rather than do their own research and come up with their own book, it was easier just to
get information from this one, that, and the other one.
But we're in a dog-eat-dog world. That's the way we live nowadays. Oakley got Mike on the second book, that's for sure. Mike may have got Oakley by writing the first one, but boy, Oakley put it to Mike on the second one. That book he's advertising there at the beginning of these videos, Solved, Pauline Pusser, Murder Solved. He had that out within about 2 weeks of the press conference. He had that book ready for release. So at least he did beat Mike Elam to the second book. Ready, Punk. Hey, Punk, let's we're going to stop it right here. You can do your closing.
Okay.
And then we'll just move the other ones down a little gap.
Okay.
Right?
All right, guys. Thanks. Sorry. Thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye. God bless.